I once did a talk. I've done it many times. I had to write up this talk about what is a Jew? What's a Jew? That was my topic. And I came up with a pretty good idea. I said, if you want to know what a Jew is, ask an anti-Semite. Hitler hated the Jews. You know why? Because the Jewish people make people weak. Because they're into charity and kindness, all this other nonsense. Hitler wanted people to be strong. Stalin hated the Jew people. Why? Because they're a bunch of revolutionaries. You can't appease them. You can't pacify them. You can't make them follow like lemmings. So who are the right version of the Jew? Do the Jews make people weak, or Jews are a bunch of troublemakers? I'm asking you.
We're troublemakers.
And we're weak and soft.
That's what keeps us alive.
We're both. We're very pliable, we're very flexible, and we're very tough. So the answer to your first question is not what did he think of it. That's what Jews are. It's not a joke, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. It's a fact. Jews are incredibly uncooperative. They're the most difficult people to hoard, the most difficult people to corral, to get to join a group. But on the other hand, when we believe in something, it's to the end. We're incredibly diverse. You know, people look from the outside at a community. Oh, they all look the same. No 2 are alike. This is true of all human beings. It's even true of animals, but it's also true of human beings. Jews, the diversity of the Jewish people is what makes us who we are. The fact that we agree on anything. Let me give you a piece of history. Jews have been divided and split for thousands of years, right? We don't have 2 Rosh Hashanahs. How many Rosh Hashanahs do the Christians have? We're a time and a half their age. We don't have 2 Yom Kippurs. We don't have to Purim. Why not? Why didn't the Jews in Yemen come up with a different date for Pesach? It almost happened, by the way, at one point, about 1,000 years ago. Because we agree. As much as we disagree, we agree on the core issues. And that's our strength. Not only that we agree, is that we're individuals and we agree. You know, there was a great sage, a very, very famous sage. His name was Rabbi Yossi Paltiel. Rabbi Yossi Paltiel lived in the 18th century. And he lived in one of those small little countries in Eastern Europe. I don't know, Moravia, Bohemia, I don't know, they changed the Czech Republic, I don't know, one of those little countries. And he was very close to the local duke. They were very personal friends. And Rabbi Yossi Paltiel found himself in a position often where he needed to defend the Jewish people, to be very careful, because it was a Christian state. It wasn't just Christian people, it was a Christian state. It was a state religion, and he had to be very careful. So the Duke calls him one day and says, listen, what do rabbis do when they disagree? What do rabbis do when they disagree? He says, we follow the majority. So he said to Rabbi Yossi Paltiel, the majority of the people are Christians or Jews? So Rabbi Yossi Paltiel says, it doesn't matter how many people you are, it matters how many opinions you have. There could be millions and millions of Christians, there could be 6 Jews. The 6 Jews are 6 opinions. The millions of Christians are 1 opinion 1,000,000 times over.
That's exactly right.
So wait, so you see, there's your answer. So the Duke says to the rabbi, what are you talking about? He says, watch, I'll show you. He says, take them outside. He says, point at the sky. It was in the middle of it. Point at the sky. So they're pointing up at the sky at nothing in particular, and within 5 minutes, 100 people knew exactly what star they're pointing at. One guy decided, everybody else followed. It's our strength. That you and I could sit in the same room is a miracle. Because we're individuals. But there's some things that are so real that we agree on.
So is that what the rebbe would say?
You know what? I can't speak for the rebbe. I think it's in the spirit of the rebbe's teachings. It's not the rebbe. There's one rule about the rebbe: that there was no rules. You never knew what he was going to say. I think that's what he would say. I think he would have said it more or less this way, but I can't tell you with certitude. It would be pretentious of me. It would be simplistic of me to say that's what he would say. I think that's what he would say. As far as the second question is concerned, There are two attitudes towards the evolution of ideas. One attitude is that the way ideas evolve is that you throw away the old ones. And that's the history of knowledge. It's, as knowledge, our ability to observe and to interpret expands, our understanding deepens, and old standing ideas are thrown away and replaced by new ones. But there's another philosophy towards knowledge, which is that knowledge is cumulative. You build. You don't throw any idea away, you build on top of it. But the understanding that the old idea has merit. I think that if you were to ask the Rebbe's opinion of modern commentaries on Torah, that would be his answer. The modern commentaries on Torah that I respect are the ones that build on the traditional commentaries rather than dispose of them. Is that a fair answer? I survived. I got through it. He said he does it for a living. I'm just visiting, Florida. Okay, feel free to speak. Seriously.
Anybody have any questions?
Go ahead. You have to first tell me your name.
Irina.
I'm Yossi. Shalom Aleichem.
You said that we have to see realistic, real life. But about positivity, if you see something very bad and you feel very bad, how you can find positivity?
It's very hard. It's very hard. Okay. I don't have enough Russian to say it in Russian, but I want to say it in Russian. Ani lo makir otach. I do not know you. So there's a question that you ask in theory. There's a question that you ask personally. And they're very different questions. And they have to be answered in very different ways. If a person sees that, and somebody like me comes along and says, you got to be positive, it's cruel. It's wrong and it's cruel. Let me give you this example. I'm giving this as an example. You know who Anna Frank was? Anna Frank. So some people say she never even wrote this, but what's the famous quote of Anna Frank? What's the most famous words that she said? That in the movies they make, the famous Anna Frank. Yeah. I once worked on a project, and one of the critics, one of the editors of my work said, Anna Frank never really said this. They put it in the movie, that's not in her journal. It's not in her diary. I still believe that people are really good at heart. She was living under the Nazis, who killed her. Now, why did she write that? Because she was naive. Because she was 14. Because she was a little stupid girl. If she was old and grown up, she would have said, I still believe people are rotten. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So here is the question. Which position is more helpful in getting through difficult situations? Practically. You're living in the darkest time in history as a Jew, and you say there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. The darkness doesn't go away, but that's how you survive. If you say it's dark, it's finished. You know, there's an unofficial Chabadnik. There's a great psychiatrist. I'm sure you heard about it. All the Lubavitchers are talking about him. If nobody read his book, but what's his name? Viktor Frankl. Have you heard of Viktor Frankl? Yeah, you come to Chabad. Viktor Frankl lived in Vienna. He was a Jew who was in Auschwitz. He lost his wife and his children. Survived the war. And he came out of the war and changed his philosophy of psychiatry. He went against teachers, whatever it was, Jung and Freud, what did he learn? There was this attitude, there was this belief. This is how I understand it. Okay, this is controversial. I have a friend who's a psychiatrist who tried to explain to me the nuance of it, not just the walk on the water, the surface. It's complicated. It's not so simple. To say that Freud saw people only as animals, it's just not factual. He believed in an ego and a superego. But nevertheless, the pervading view was that a human being is an animal. Animals are survivors, and animals want to express their emotions and their pleasures, and they want to survive. He was in the darkest place in the world, and he saw idealism. He saw people believing in good, and they survived. He studied it. Studiert. Unstudiert. It's close enough to the Russian, yeah? He studied it as a psychotherapist, and he said human beings are not animals. They live on light, not on oxygen and food and stealing from the next person. And that's the answer to your question. You see, here's the funny thing about it. When life is difficult, it's easy to understand. When life is hard, you know that if you're going to get through this, you have to say there's light. But when life is easy, you're so dazzled, you're so distracted, you're so busy with shtussim, you're so busy with nonsense. You know what I always tell people? I say Jews have the Anne Frank syndrome. What the Anne Frank syndrome is? You give them any problem in the world, they'll find light. What if they have no problems? They have to invent one, because the Jew can't live without a problem. But when you make up a problem that isn't there, you can't solve it, because phantom problems don't have a solution. This is the problem with the American Jew, American people. Our lives are so good that we're all miserable. Do you understand?
Yes.
Am I answering you?
Yeah.
And I maybe
Do you understand, right? You have to be light.
you have to think about
And,
light.
yeah.
Right.
Think, and then you will see and find your positivity in darkness.
And that'll bring the light to you, I think. Yeah. The Rebbe used to say, Trach gut wird sein gut. Think good and it'll be good.
Okay.
Think good and it'll be good. Chazak, Irina sei gesund und stark.
Yeah,
Leb like.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Just appreciation.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah.
What is your name?
My name is Etella.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
I'm still Yossi.
And I had the luck to be at one of the upbringings of Rabbi Shneur.
Oh.
In 1972 when I first came from Russia.
It's a few days
And
ago.
It was an unforgettable experience,
Yeah.
as you said. So I'm very grateful to Hashem for that.
Oh, Baruch Hashem.
Now you come in talking about it, brought back a lot of emotions.
That's good. That's good. That's gewaldig.
Thank you.
It's 50 years.
Yeah, half a century.
Half a century. Can I know
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Hashem should give us nachas from our children. Gesund Yiddish Chassidische nachas.
Amen.
All of us.
Chaim l'chaim
Chaim
v'racha.
l'bracha. Simcha v'tov levov. Nice to meet everybody. Nice to meet you all. Bemis.